Welcome back to another episode of The Quest for Self. I'm your host, Allie. Imagine waking up one day and struggling to do the things that once felt effortless. Speaking clearly, walking without help, expressing yourself freely. That's the reality my mom faces every single day after her stroke. My mom was fiercely independent, a woman who could practically do everything on her own, except maybe set up her new iPhone. At 60, she was still working on the brink of retirement, filled with plans for her next chapter. But life had a different plan. It was a day I will never forget, one that feels like it was just yesterday. Mother's Day 2022. I was traveling in Seville, Spain when I got the call no one ever wants to receive. My cousin's voice on the other end of the line uttered a series of words that left me frozen. Your mom had a stroke and is in the ICU. Everything after that felt like a blur. My brain struggled to process what was happening. My mom was hanging on to life. I knew I had to be with her, and so I booked the first available flight. And 12 hours later, landed in San Francisco where my brother picked me up. We rushed to the hospital together. I will never forget that moment. Walking into the ICU room, seeing my family's pale faces, and then my mom, unconscious, intubated, surrounded by tubes and machines keeping her alive. In a single night, her life changed forever, and so did ours. Before my mom's stroke, I looked at individuals with disabilities with empathy and compassion, but I honestly saw disabilities as an outsider. Now, disabilities are part of my daily life. My mom's journey has shown me the depth of the struggles people with disabilities face, both seen and unseen. My mom had to relearn how to do everything: walk, eat, even basic movements. She is partially paralyzed, unable to use her dominant right arm. Due to the severity of her stroke and how long her brain went without oxygen, she also lost much of her cognitive function. Conversations, reasoning, and memory are all now major challenges for her. Yet, amidst the hardship, there have been victories. She can walk again with assistance, she breathes on her own, she can eat without any help. These may seem like small wins, but in the world of stroke recovery, they are monumental. According to the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke, every 40 seconds, someone in the US has a stroke. Every 3 minutes and 11 seconds, someone dies from one. Strokes are the leading cause of long-term disability, and my mom is now part of that statistic. One of the hardest parts of this journey is witnessing my mom's frustration. I used to call her almost every day when I lived in Spain. We would talk, share stories, she would offer advice, we'd laugh about things. Now our conversations are filled with pauses, struggles, and moments of silence where she tries to find the words but can't. Beyond the emotional toll, There's a challenge of accessibility. In California, many places accommodate people with disabilities, but it's far from perfect. When we traveled to El Salvador last year, I was shocked to see how inaccessible many places were. Ramps were rare, doors were too narrow, and elevators were almost non existent. My mom's wheelchair made it painfully obvious how much the world is designed for the able bodied. Then there are the invisible struggles, the emotional impact, the loss of independence, the hit to self esteem. My mom wishes she could go for a walk alone or even take a drive, but she can't. She relies on others for even the simplest things. That loss of autonomy is one of the hardest aspects of her new reality. Disabilities don't just impact the individual, they affect everyone around them. And the way the world reacts makes a difference. I have seen the best of humanity, like an Uber driver in El Salvador who helped my mom into the car with patience and kindness. Small gestures like that mean the world. Holding the door open, offering a smile, taking a few extra seconds to listen instead of rushing someone who struggles to speak. All of these things matter. But I've also seen the opposite. I'll never forget taking my mom to a hairstylist. My mom tried to express how she wanted her haircut. The stylist dismissed her, brushing off her sounds and movements as an inconvenience. She wasn't outright cruel, but wasn't kind either. That experience stayed with me because it made me realize how often people with disabilities are ignored or treated as burdens. So, what can we do? If you or someone you love is navigating life with a disability, know that small acts of support and understanding can make a huge difference. Number one, be patient. Whether it's in a conversation, movement, or an everyday interaction, give people the time they need. Number two, show compassion. You never know the struggles someone is facing. Three, offer support. Whether it's helping with a task, spending time with them, or just being present, it matters. Number four, advocate for accessibility. If you notice a place isn't disability friendly, speak up. Change starts with awareness. Disabilities can change a person's life overnight. My mom's journey has shown me just how resilient people can be, but it's also opened my eyes to the challenges that still exist in our society. If you take anything from this episode, let it be this. Be the person who holds a door open. Be the person who offers a smile. You never know how much of a difference it can truly make. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of The Quest for Self. If you enjoyed listening to this episode, like, follow, subscribe, comment, and share. It would mean the world. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media, The Quest for Self.